But science always suffers from hubris. There is this idea that our science is the pinnacle.
Yes.
There's nothing all we need to know. I mean, I've often quoted that Michelson of the Michelson-Morley experiment, and I think it was in 1896 or something. He was opening up a new laboratory at the University of Chicago, and he turned around and he said, that science these days, that we will be only calculating to the sixth decimal point because physics is at the end. We know everything, and of course, he was totally wrong, completely and utterly wrong. And I think that this is what's going to happen now. We're at this point where I call it, we have almost Heath Robinson science. It is self evident that there is something wrong with our scientific model. We know, for example, that we have two completely conflicting science models. We
What's
have,
wrong with our human model is self-evident. And it's not just science; it's everything.
yeah, it's
It's
how we sit within it. But,
yeah, it's
you know,
it's all about narrative and doctrines and
yeah,
don't shake my world because you offend me.
yes.
And
And
I
it,
can't be offended. It's not allowed. And this is the antithesis of the human experience of making progress. In order
correct.
to make progress, we must allow ourselves to be offended, we must allow ourselves to be challenged, and we must allow ourselves to be rocked by new information.
Yeah, well, it's
And
like when I turn around to people and I say, "Do you know that if you place the calculations and the formula used in quantum mechanics and you plug them into relativity, so quantum mechanics, the very small things, relativity, the very big things, they don't work. You get infinities. So we have two completely
yeah,
conflicting worldviews that are in contradiction to each other.
well,
But scientists pretend it isn't. You see Brian Cox on television
yeah,
making all these grand statements of what he understands.
I don't feel the need anymore to get validation from other people. Maybe
Well,
that's
it's
my
always, isn't it? It's the independent thinkers that are outside of the stricture of academia that come up with
yeah,
the new ideas.
yeah,
Einstein was working as a patent clerk.
yes,
He wasn't an
yeah,
academic.
yeah,
Yes, he had a PhD, but he was working as a patent clerk.
yeah,
The reason that Max Planck discovered quantum mechanics was not because he was researching quantum mechanics. He was trying to find a way of making light bulbs more effective,
yeah.
which few people are aware of. The German government, the Prussian government had issue, or the German government at the time had issues. They were falling behind the Americans and the British in light bulbs.
Yeah.
And it's the feel like, for instance, Kekulé. You were talking about inspiration. Kekulé, when he discovered the ring structure of benzene, he didn't do it mathematically. He didn't do it logically. He was sitting in front of a fire, went into hypnagogic state, and saw a snake eating its tail. And
Yeah,
he thought, that's the structure. It's ring structured.
yeah,
Now, those things don't fit into the narrative,
uh,
don't fit into the model, but they happen.
yeah, absolutely. And by the same process, I think that you outlined earlier. So, in coming to a conclusion, the one thing I would say to you is the last time we spoke, it wasn't recorded, it was just a conversation. I had responded to some Facebook posts that you had posted, and if you don't mind me saying, you were feeling a bit sort of despondent, and I decided to tell you off. Right? Do you
Yes,
remember?
but you did well. I need this. I need
Now
people
we
to
just had this
look.
conversation, and look at the impact you've had on my thinking, right? And I've only known you for I don't know a decade maybe. And how many copies of your books have you sold? I mean, does it really matter?
About 140,000.
There you go. So there's 140,000 people's lives, and probably two or three times that, because usually books get read by other people. This is your role. Your role is to challenge. Your role is to make people think. Your role is to have people sit there going, "Oh yeah, that happened to me. I wonder." Yeah, that's what you're there for, and that's what you're doing, and the success you're having with it is immeasurable.